All right, welcome back to the channel. Max Tornow here. In this video, I want to talk about two different mentalities. One of these mentalities is going to help you succeed in life in general, but more specifically with building your very first business. And the other mentality is going to make you stay in mediocrity and actually, in worst case, even fail in your attempt to build your own very first freedom business. One mentality is called the leaf in the wind mentality. It's going to make you fail. And the other mentality is I'm going to call it the facilitator of your own luck mentality. We're going to look at both. We're going to look at how to stay on the right side of things. And we're going to look at how to stay away from the wrong side of things so you can succeed with building your own very first business. If that sounds good to you, let's get started.
Have you ever wondered whether there's more to life than a meaningless, dead-end 9-to-5 job? Have you ever dreamed about breaking free, traveling the world, making good money while not having to worry that you could get fired? My name is Max Tornow, and I've attained that freedom, and I've attained that security. No more office dress code, no morning commute, no boss. This channel is for you, so here's to your freedom.
So I've mentioned before there's two types of mentalities, and this is a mentality that always creeps back in through the back door, the leaf in the wind mentality. And first off, you have to learn how to get out of that leaf in the wind mentality, because I feel like through our upbringing, through our societal expectations, we're being taught to take on the leaf in the wind mentality. And second of all, you need to find a ways to stay away from that, because it always comes creeping back through the back door. Let's talk about how to get out of it in the first place. Why do we all have this leaf in the wind mentality of like, it's not in our responsibility, and it's the government's fault, and it's the system's fault, and I cannot succeed because of this, because of that? Well, we're kind of, in our education system, we're kind of being taught to fit in. We're being taught to not think for ourselves. We're being taught to repeat what we're being told. If you literally look at school, does school, at least the way I've experienced school, but most of my clients as well, does school really teach you to look at an issue and find solutions to that? Or does school basically say, repeat after me, right? Maybe you've had, as a classic example, you have a math problem in math class and you get to the same solution as the teacher, but in a different way. And the teacher says, I don't want you to do that. You have to do it the exact same way as me. And while that does have advantages and disadvantages, ultimately it's a good example of how we're usually being taught of like, this is not my responsibility, the government's going to take care of me, the teachers are going to take care of me, and so on and so forth. The problem is, and that's probably fine to a degree, the problem is later on we kind of miss the opportunity to say, okay, now it's my turn, and now I'm all of a sudden the facilitator of my own luck, and I have to take over responsibility. At some stage, sooner or later in the life of any adult, you have to make a decision and say, you know what, I no longer will listen to what school tells me. In fact, there is no more teachers, right? I'm going to find my own ways and understand what it is that I have to do. I have to become self-reliant, right? And you might have heard me talk about this before. Self-reliance doesn't mean doing everything by yourself and trying to become self-made. Self-reliant basically means, number one, knowing what you want out of life and how to get there. And number two, knowing who can help you get there. Who are the people that can help you get there, right? And that is what ultimately every adult has to learn. And then the second thing is, once you do kind of adhere to the, okay, I'm the facilitator of my own luck mentality, you have to make sure that you're staying away from that. We see this a lot of times where, for example, beginner clients come into our beginner program because they realize they're the facilitator of their own luck, because they start becoming self-reliant and they know we're the people that can help them get there. And then they kind of fall back into the leaf in the wind mentality. They come to us with a fix me mentality. I'm here, fix me, no thinking on my side. I'm blind, tell me whether I gotta go left or right. And I literally just earlier this morning talked to a one-on-one client of mine who is stuck in a similar situation, and I put it like this. Look, you're driving a car right now. That car is your life, all right? And you want me to basically tell you, you're basically closing your eyes, and you want me to tell you when to steer left, when to steer right, when to brake, when to put it into the next gear, when to turn on your driving, your turn signals, and so on and so forth. And I can do that to a degree, and it's going to work to a degree. But ultimately, there can still be situations where you need to act yourself, right? What if a kid runs up on the street? I might not be able to tell you fast enough. So you have to be self-reliant enough to know, okay, these smaller things, this micromanagement I need to adjust. I'm in control and I'm steering this thing, right? So to stick with that metaphor, what we much rather are doing, much more accurately described, is we're your GPS. We tell you, here's your destination, this is the route, this is the fastest route. You know, make sure, here's the radars, so make sure here's you don't fall into that trap. Oh, if you go on this route, you're going to be stuck in a traffic jam. This is us. But ultimately, you have the steering wheel. You have to know how fast you got to go, how slow you got to go, when to brake and when to steer, right? And you have to also be ready to deal with any obstacles that come up. That is what it means to be the facilitator of your own luck. And is that a comfortable position to be in? Maybe not necessarily in the first place or on first thought. You might think like, oh, if it's with my own luck, I gotta be responsible. This sucks. I just want to do what somebody else might tell me. But ultimately, it's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for becoming better at that, at whatever it is that you're doing. And if I think back to the things that I have learned through this epic journey of entrepreneurship, I don't want to miss that, not at all. In fact, if I think back to the things that have really caused me a lot of worry 3-4 years ago, that literally caused me to be in a bad mood for a week. And if I compare that with the high quality problems that I have now, and how easy I take those, worlds in between. What would have caused me a week of worry back in the days, sometimes I now wake up with that, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll fix it. You become very nonchalant, you become very resilient, you become extremely confident because of all the messed up situations that you've steered your ship through, that you've steered your car around. And that's something beautiful about entrepreneurship. I want to talk about this in a second a little more. If you haven't done so yet, go check out our podcast. My business partner and myself, my business partner Nikita Gunkovic and myself, we have a very informative podcast where we're going much, much deeper in the ins and outs of building your own very first business. Strongly recommend you check it out. You probably have your phone in your hand right now, so you can open that already. We have it on Spotify and we have it on Apple iTunes, I think it's called, or Apple Podcasts, right? There's a URL down below, or a URL that we'll show here right now. Go definitely check out our podcast. Strongly recommend you. And I want to talk a little bit more again about this adventure of entrepreneurship. And if I think back at the generations before us, I think every generation has a big story to tell. Every generation has a walkabout, an initiation rite, right? That makes us grow up and become adults. And as unfortunate as that is, the generation before mine, you know, when I look at my mom and dad, might not be the case for you, but for many of the people in where I grew up, that adventure was getting out of poverty. My mom and dad, they both come from relatively big families and they weren't necessarily as wealthy. The generation before them, their parents, they had World War II. That was their big obstacle to overcome. And if you think about our generation, if you're in the same generation as mine, what is our adventure? What is our grand walkabout? What is our grand opportunity of growth? We have none. We grew up with watching cartoons every Saturday. We grew up with trading Pokemon cards. We grew up with, being brought to school with a bus or with our parents. We have a fairly comfortable life. And I'm happy enough, lucky enough, to have discovered this thing called entrepreneurship. This thing that posed a challenge for me. This thing that represented a dream so big, so inconceivably far away from me, that I literally thought it's impossible to ever succeed. Once, let alone twice. Yet I managed to do that. And I might not, it's actually really crazy. My grandfather often told me about how he was imprisoned as a 10-year-old when the Allied forces came into Austria to liberate him, and he was imprisoned first, and then once the Allied forces started leaving, he was a 10-year-old kid, and he had some of his classmates, and they were brought to a different part of Austria, and they literally had to walk home. They're like, here you go, 10-year-old, the door's open, just go walk home. And they had to walk home for days as a 10-year-old, and I never had any of that, but And in no way I want to compare that with what I have been through. In no way I want to diminish that, but it kind of feels for me also there was this path in front of me that was treacherous, and it put me in awe, and I had respect of that path, and it was a big step into the unknown every step I took. Yet I did take that because for me it was necessary to get where I wanted to be. And for me, there was a lot of self-doubt. There continues to be a lot of self-doubt, but I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to deal with the obstacles as they unfold in front of me. And that's a big part of not being a leaf in the wind, of not just being like, oh, one day I'm being drifted here and one day I'm being drifted there. It's knowing your path and dealing with problems as they arise, and also not being worried about the future problems. I get this so many times, especially in beginner clients. They come to me and they say, I want to do this, but what if that happens 3 months down the road? And I always say, look, number one rule of entrepreneurship, we don't fix problems that don't exist yet. Why trying to deal with problems that are not even there yet? You got enough work to do right now. That's also what it means to be the facilitator of your own luck. Focus on the things you can do right now. And maybe you're watching this and you think, building a business is not for me, because what am I going to do when I have clients? What am I going to do when I make this much money? And then there's going to be the taxes and blah, 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 blah. Hey, relax. Focus on the one thing you can do right now. What's one step further that you can take in order to get started? You don't need to hire people. You don't need to think about making 100K a month. Think about getting started, getting your first test clients. Maybe for free, maybe for half a price, maybe for a lower price. Maybe it's a friend or colleague or someone in your network. Get your foot in the door. Deal with problems as they come. Be the facilitator for your own luck. Be stoic in your endeavors. Don't freak out. Don't fall into victim mentality. Don't allow obstacles to F with your mood every day. Be stoic, and instead of being the roaring flame and explosion that explodes really quickly and then starts vanishing very quickly as well, be like the Mississippi River. Be steady, slow, but you keep moving, and no matter what's in your way, you start eating it up or going around it or sucking it with you. Like that. That is what entrepreneurship means. Don't be the leaf in the wind. Be the Mississippi River. Be the facilitator of your own luck. Stoically, one step at a time, with huge amounts of trust into the process, with huge amounts of consistency, with you dealing with problems as they arise. That is what it means to be the facilitator of your own luck. And like I said, you might not know how to deal with problems as they arise later, but deal with the very first thing that is in front of you right now. That is the very first steps you need to take in order to get started with your own freedom business, right? And I can help you with that. You can book a free consultation call with us. There's a link down in the description below. You click on that link, brings you to an application, you fill out the application, then you can book on a free consultation. You can literally jump on a free consultation call either with me directly or with an expert from my team. And on there, we'll look at your situation, we'll look at your goals, we'll look at what you could potentially be coaching or offering, right? As a service provider, as a consultant. We're literally focused on beginners. We have a lot of advanced clients as well, but we've been doing this for many, literally hundreds of beginners, and we've helped them build their own very first successful online businesses as a coach, consultant, or service provider. So if you have a skill and you want to learn how to monetize it, that call is for you. But also, if you don't know what it is that you could offer, you feel lost, you have completely no idea how you get started, that call is for you, right? You don't have to be ashamed or anything. We can literally help you with that. Most importantly, if you're already making some money, but you want to build it into something more legit, you want to scale it, that call is for you as well. There's a link down in the description below. If the link gets you through, it means we still have a spot open for you, because we do have limited spots. So thank you very much for watching. This was a little bit more of a meta video, but we can help you, right? So talk very, very soon. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Hello guys, I just want to leave a quick testimonial for Max and his team, because the value they are giving is just incredible. I'm in the program for 1 month and I was already able to close my first client for €1,000, and many more people are interested about my offer now. Before I start the program, I was very confused about everything, but now I know everything. I know exactly what to do, and if I don't, I just ask the coaches. It's so simple. You have to work hard, and then everything is possible. GG.